Moses' farewell. The sun hung low over the plains of Moab, casting long golden shadows across the sea of tents that housed the children of Israel. After 40 years of dust, manna, and wandering, the Jordan River was finally within sight. Moses, the man who had seen the back of God and led a nation through the depths of the Red Sea, stood upon a rocky outcrop. His hair was as white as the desert salt, yet his eyes remained sharp, burning with the fire of 1,000 memories. He looked back at the wilderness and forward toward the promise, knowing he would only walk one of those paths. Moses gathered the leaders to speak the words God had placed in his heart. Beside him stood Joshua, the man who would soon carry the weight of the nation's future. Moses' voice, though aged, carried like thunder across the quiet camp. "The Lord spoke to us at Horeb," he began, his hand gripping the hilt of his staff. "He told us we had stayed at that mountain long enough. It was time to break camp and advance. But leadership is not a burden for one man alone. I told you then, and I tell you now, I cannot carry you by myself." "Remember Kadesh Barnea," Moses said, his voice dropping to a somber whisper. He looked at Caleb, one of the few who had remained faithful when the 10 others had trembled with fear. "We stood at the very threshold of our inheritance, yet our hearts melted like wax. You saw giants where you should have seen God's promises. Because of that fear, an entire generation fell in the desert. Do not let the shadows of the past eclipse the light of the future. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the trust that God is bigger than any wall." The journey had been long, and many of the elders had passed into the silent sands. Moses walked through the camp with Eleazar the priest, watching the new generation prepare their gear. "We circled the hill country of Seir for many days," Moses reminded him. "God told us to turn north. He protected us even when we passed through the lands of our cousins. He has been your provider in the vast, howling wasteland. Look at your clothes. They have not worn out. Look at your feet. They have not swollen. If he provided in the void, will he not provide in the land of milk and honey?" Not all the path had been peaceful. Moses called forward a young captain named Zakkur, who had fought in the battles against the kings of the east. "When Sihon, king of Heshbon, refused us passage, the Lord gave him into our hands," Moses declared. Moses held up a captured sword, its blade gleaming. "It was not by your strength alone that the cities fell. It was because the Lord fought for you. Every victory you have won is a stone in the foundation of the home you are about to build." The victories continued as they moved toward Bashan. Joshua recounted the tale of Og, the giant king whose bedstead was made of iron and measured 13 feet long. "Do not be afraid of them," Joshua said, echoing Moses' long-standing command to the troops. Zakkur nodded, remembering how the formidable cities with high walls and barred gates had crumbled. Moses watched them, seeing the spark of faith igniting in the hearts of the warriors. They were no longer a band of refugees. They were a nation of destiny. The time for the final transition had come. Moses took Joshua's hands in his own. The air was thick with the scent of dust and the weight of a legacy. "Be strong and courageous," Moses charged him in the sight of all. "For you must go with this people into the land that the Lord swore to their ancestors. The Lord himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged." Moses withdrew from the noise of the camp to be alone with the Creator. He climbed a small ridge and looked across the Jordan. He had pleaded with the Lord to let him cross, to feel the cool grass of Canaan beneath his feet. But the Lord had said, "That is enough." Moses did not complain. His journey was not about the destination, but about the faithfulness of the one who led him. He stood in the silence, a servant who had finished his race, content to see the promise from the heights. Before his final ascent, Moses sat by a small stone monument with a young boy named Zikri. "Listen, Zikri," Moses said, his voice soft but urgent. "Remember what your eyes have seen. Do not let these things slip from your heart as long as you live. Teach them to your children and to their children after them. To obey God is to choose life. To forget Him is to wander back into the desert of the soul. Choose life so that you and your children may live.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more inspiring Bible stories.